On the simple side of the mindset, most of us, myself included, grew up with some sort of negative association with money. And if you grew up hearing things like, we can't have money, rich people are evil, money is bad, we can't afford nice things, what do you think you're going to think about money when you turn 25 or 30 years old? Well, if you grew up with all this negative association with money and you didn't go out of your way to start learning about money, chances are you are going to have a negative association with money, that money's bad, money's evil, rich people are bad, and that you can't become wealthy. And then when you go on to have kids, what do you think you're going to be telling your kids? Well, your kids are going to see you talk about money the same way you heard your parents talk about money. And if you grew up in a broke mindset household, your kids are going to grow up in a broke mindset household. And this is where it is very important for you to change the way that you think about money. And yeah, I know it sounds like a bunch of just fluffy stuff, but it is so important to believe that you can become wealthy, that there's an abundance of wealth in the world, and that you have the ability to achieve it. And if you don't believe that, well, I can guarantee it's going to be impossible for you. But this is where it is so important for you to believe that you can become wealthy, because the reality is there's a lot of money in the world. A central bank is producing trillions and trillions of dollars. All you need to do is get a small little sliver of the pie. That way you can build that wealth for yourself and your family and your future generations. And it is possible, but you have to believe it's possible. Let me show you. I've spent the last number of years talking about financial education and teaching financial education to people all over the world. And in the beginning, I used to think that money management and building wealth was just a numbers game. That if you make $50,000 a year, what do you need to do with your money to become wealthy? But as I began talking with more and more people, I realized that there's more to building wealth than just understanding what you need to do with your money. You have to understand the mindset. And the reason why is because if you don't believe that you can do it, you're not going to do it. You're going to self-sabotage the things that you need to do in order to become wealthy. And the thing that everybody wants is this. We want that outcome. That outcome is financial freedom. We want that cash flow. We want the wealth. We want to be rich. We could put whatever word that you want. But this is what everybody wants. We want the outcome. Now, if we work backwards, in order to get this outcome, you have to take certain actions. This is what you do with your money. This is what every other step that I'm going to talk about in this checklist is going to be going over. How do you save your money? How do you invest your money? How do you put your money to work? What actions you need to take to get that outcome. But in order to take the right actions, you have to have the right thoughts. Because in order for you to do something, you have to think how to do it the right way. And if you don't have the right thoughts to take the right actions, you're not going to have the right outcomes. And this is where what a lot of people do is they just say, change the way you think. And so how do you do that? Well, just start praying and meditating on this idea that I will become wealthy, I'll become wealthy, I'll become wealthy. And if you do that, you're going to be able to manifest wealth. But if you think that, but you have these subconscious thoughts, like these kind of pre-thoughts that in the back of your mind, you have this little voice saying, well, I know I'm just saying this so I can say it because that's what the person on YouTube says. Just say you can become wealthy, that way you can have the action and have the outcome. That's what the people on YouTube say. Well, if you have that little voice in the back of your mind, well, guess what? This whole system becomes broken. And that's where if you want to become wealthy, it's not just about the way you think, it's about really the way you believe. And it's about changing your subconscious. Now, I'm not going to have the time in this video to do a deep dive into how do you do that. But the simplest thing that you can do, if you feel like this is something that's going on with you, which is okay, that's normal, it can be changed, it can be fixed, but you're going to have to invest in your own personal development and your self-development. Start absorbing that content. Read books, watch YouTube videos, listen to podcasts, take classes, do whatever you got to do, but you have to change the way that you think about you becoming successful and wealthy. Because if you have that little voice in your head, even though you might think that you're trying to change the way you think, unless you get rid of that voice and you truly believe that you can become wealthy and that money is abundant, it is going to be impossible for you. Once you understand this on the mindset side, that's where you want to understand the money rules. That way you understand why it's important for you to become wealthy. Outside of the government and our central bank, there are three main entities or stakeholders that make up our economic system. That is our C, the consumers, the I, the investors, and the B, the businesses. Now, every single person is a consumer. Rich people, middle class people, poor people, everybody's a consumer because everybody's got to eat. Everybody needs clothes, everybody needs a home. So everybody buys things, that means everybody's a consumer. But most people are not investors or business owners. So now, let's understand a little bit how this economic system works. Because the way that our economic system works is that you and I go to Chipotle to buy things. What does that mean? We are consumers. We are going to this business, which is Chipotle, to buy a bowl of Chipotle and get that extra guac. So now, you as a consumer are taking your money and you're giving it to Chipotle, and in exchange you get a Chipotle bowl, but the person that benefits financially is, of course, the owners of Chipotle. Now, who are the owners of Chipotle? Well, these are the investors in Chipotle. Anybody can be an investor in the Chipotle stock, but the people that make money when you spend money at Chipotle and buy that extra guac is, of course, the Chipotle business and the investors. But what you have to also remember is that in today's economic system, we have this thing called inflation. And inflation isn't something new. Inflation has been around for decades, but inflation hurts consumers. Because now when you want to go out and buy something, it costs you more dollars, right? You want to go to Chipotle, it's going to cost you more money today than it did 5 years ago because extra guac is more expensive, that bowl is more expensive. That is inflation at work. So now, in this economic system, we have inflation. We know that inflation has happened and it will continue to happen in the future. Now you might say, Jaspreet, how do you know that inflation is going to still exist in the future? Well, even if you go to the Federal Reserve Bank, they have a page saying that they aim for 2% inflation. The Federal Reserve Bank wants inflation. The government wants inflation. And the reason why they want inflation is because it helps keep spurring our economic system. So now what does inflation do? Well, inflation means that you might be making a little bit more money from your job because, well, incomes have risen over the last number of decades, although it hasn't risen fast enough with the higher cost of living, but that's besides the point of this video. Inflation means now you make a little bit more money, but now when you want to go buy the Chipotle bowl, or when you want to go shopping, you want to go on a vacation, you want to buy a home, whatever, you want to go spend money, it's going to cost you more money. So now more money is going into the hands of the businesses because you got to spend more money as a consumer. So inflation hurts consumers. But what happens now when businesses make more money? Well, they're making more money because they got to charge more money for their products, but that also benefits the investor because more money is going into the hands of the businesses and the investors are what own the businesses. This is why this financial education is so important. It's because everybody's a consumer. We're all taught from day one how to be a consumer, how to buy things, how to like things, how to shop for things. But this is where the wealth is built. Now, you don't have to go out and start a business. You don't have to go out and start the next Chipotle, but every single person needs to be an investor because that's where the wealth is built. Not just that, our economic system is designed to benefit the investor because guess what? Our economic system is designed to create inflation. So now, if you don't understand this, you're not going to see why it's so important for you to change out of just being a consumer to being an investor. But the investors are the ones that benefit when our economic system happens. And our economic system is going to continue to happen. Inflation is going to continue to happen. Inflation is going to continue to hurt the average person while making certain people, like investors, richer, which is why you want to be an investor. If you enjoyed this short clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to start generating passive income, our team put together an amazing guide on how to start generating passive income for free. All you gotta do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.